All right. And we can just begin with something that would go a bit like, it was a combination of the verses and the vocals of Unlearn Me that made me pause. I sat still, listening to words that resonated and reverberated. Your songs and style are so raw and so real. You, I feel, have this way of breaking barriers by being boldly vulnerable. So all that said, I am dying to hear the backstory of the bleeding pen referenced in Unlearn Me from your new album Through. Carol, please share.
Oh my gosh, thank you. That's so nice. I like when someone compliments me and it feels really sincere, I feel like I'm blushing. I'm getting like hot. I'm like sweaty. That's so cool that lyric stood out to you, because I really love that lyric too. And like specifically, and I don't talk about it a lot, or no one's ever asked me about it, but that song was, I mean, it's one of the only songs that I've written like just by myself. I really love collaborating with other people. Like, I can't play instruments that well. I love being around other people when it's the right collaboration. And so like very rarely do I start and finish a song just by myself. And I was just like so fucking heartbroken at that time. I was just like, I felt like my heart was being ripped out of my chest. And I had been in a relationship where I was kind of the chaotic constant. Like, this person was sort of standing there being like, I know you move the furniture around all night, but like, I really love you and it's okay. And I was on the other side being like, you know, no, it's not, and no, it's not, and no, it's not, and sort of making a mess out of things that weren't really messy because I was trying to make sense of it. And that whole song just came out sort of as an accident. Like, a thread through this whole EP and project has been sort of this time in my life about a year and a half ago, where I was working through this relationship that was ending because I wanted to end it, but I didn't really want to let go of it. And I just felt like, okay, I need to be forgiven, but I don't really forgive myself yet. And he was like paper to me. Like, he just felt like, yeah, he was a blank piece of paper. He was ready to be written on. He was good. And I was the thing that was uncontrollable. And it felt really bad. And I almost felt like I needed to be punished for it. Like, do you know that feeling? Mm-hmm. It's so interesting because no one was trying to punish me. It's like the classic self-suffering. It's like, I need to be punished, so I have evidence and proof that like I am either good or bad. Mm-hmm. And that's what that thing is. And so you end up like doing things that you wouldn't normally to sort of like be one or the other, because it's like too painful almost to fathom that like, maybe that's just a growing up thing, that like you can be good sometimes and bad sometimes, and you can like feel perfect one day and feel like a total fucking mess the next day. And that song just sort of, it all poured out of me. I was staying at my parents' house in New York, and yeah, I just wrote it. I didn't think too much about the lyrics, but they kind of were just coming out. But yeah, that's the paper and the pen thing. That was a long answer.
That was a beautiful answer. Yeah. And I love that. And I think what I love about your writing, your style, is that it's so relatable. And so that for me, that piece was really just, yeah. And so then I continued to dive into the Carol realm of this fabulous music. And so the only way out is through. This excerpt from your album's title track, Through, speaks to finding a way through situations, regardless of the circumstances surrounding you. No around, above, or below about it. You share in the song with confidence and so much conviction, which I love, that the only way out is through. And so I'm wondering, is this shared as an invitation to others to deal with circumstances in their own life, or is it a recollection of your own experiences, or did you write this and share this as a bit of both?
I think it's a bit of both. I definitely, like, I wrote it for me. In the moment, I really needed it. so basically I actually wrote it. It was the second song I wrote after Unlearn Me. And it was during this time where I was like trying to get this relationship back. And I flew across the world. They lived in London. And I was like, okay, fuck it, whatever. Like, I'm going to go to London. I've had 2 weeks alone. Now I'm like totally healed, whatever. And I'm going to go to London and I'm going to get this person back because now I know what I want. And I get there and they're dating someone else. And so obviously I'm just fucking devastated. And I'm just like riding around the tube and like walking around London feeling like so sorry for myself. And I love London. Like I wanted to be there, but I think it was still a bit of that self-suffering thing. Like it didn't feel good, but I couldn't bring myself to leave, even though I didn't get what I wanted going there. And I was just like, okay, I can't leave yet. Like I'm gonna leave right before Christmas or like on Christmas. And then a big lockdown happened in London. So I was stuck there. And so I literally was like, I have to get through these next 3 weeks. Like that is the only way I'm going to survive this, is if I like put my head down and just like tunnel vision focus on getting through these next 3 weeks. Like I don't have to be totally better. I don't have to accept it. I don't have to anything. I just have to get through these 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. And I think that helped me enter like, I don't know, you know, after a breakup, you have like moments of like extreme confidence where it's almost you're like, I'm going to just boost myself so high. It's almost delusional so that I feel whatever I'm feeling is not like desperate pain. It's just like manic confidence, I guess is the opposite of that. So I was like, well, I don't care if he's like fucking someone else or like with someone else. Like I'm so hot. I'm so cool. Like I'm so sexy. I'm so whatever, blah, blah, blah. Even though I was like walking around London by myself with my headphones in, like sobbing, listening to Adele on the train, like trying to navigate it. And it was sort of like written from the perspective of, you know, these things, Carol, like, you know that this is how you get through it. You've been through it before. And I just needed to hear myself say that. And so that's where the song came from. And I made it with my friends in London. And then I listened to it, 300 times until I left. Like on a loop all fucking day. And it's been really cool to see how other people have responded to it, because obviously it's such a universal feeling, like, and I wanted it to feel like that because I know that there will be a time again in the future where I need it again. I kind of feel like that about all my music. Like I want it to walk the line of being like specific to me, obviously, but still vague enough that in like 20 years, when I'm making all these mistakes again in a different way, I can still listen to it and be like, oh wait, you're so smart. Like you're really smart. Like, you know what to do. Yeah. You wrote it down, you recorded it, like stick to it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's that story.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. And like you're saying, we can, again, just making it very relatable. And I feel like it's almost like just documenting this internal wrestling that we do with ourselves, in these kind of situations. And it's just so brilliantly done. So here's the thing, is that you have written for others, for Demi Lovato, Ava Max, Selena Gomez, to name a few, but now you're taking time to write and to produce for you. So here, again, I'm super, super fascinated and excited to hear your response to what is it that inspired this shift for you as an artist?
Yeah, I moved to LA to do music, whatever that means, when I was 19. So I dropped out of college and I moved here, and it was kind of passive. Like I wasn't like, I need to make music or I'm gonna die. I'm so passionate about it. I wasn't passionate about anything. I was just like, college sucks. Like, I don't really feel like I fit in here. And I'm just waiting for someone to come to my door in a van and be like, get in my van, you're a superstar. Like, I'll make all your dreams come true, And no one did that, obviously, because that's not how it works. And so I think I was like, where's this fucking van that I'm so convinced exists? Yeah, it's like the American Idol thing. It's like, you have a ticket, like this is your one shot. That's just what I thought it was like. And so obviously moving out to LA, I got here and I was like, I'm 19. So I was acclimating to being in a new space, not really having friends and working like 3 jobs and all of these things. And I just very quickly, I had been signed previously when I was 18. And so I moved out here and I was like, great, if I don't want to do college, I'll come out here and I'll like be an artist. I'll figure out what that is, because it's like something to do and it's some sort of direction. And I just was totally swallowed by it, like eaten alive by it. I just wasn't confident enough. I was waiting for someone to tell me what to do. And that doesn't really exist. And when that does exist in the dynamics where people at my label or something would tell me what to do, I would be like, I don't want to do that. So I was like constantly caught in this thing of like, okay, well, maybe I'm just not an artist. Like, I have this thing in my head, like, you know, we all have these like opinions of ourselves, but they're fact. Like, it's fact to me. I was just so convinced that everyone would be disappointed because if it was me, if I was the one singing, if I was the one at the front, and it would be so much better if I just like took a step back and I could find a way to thrive behind the scenes. And so that narrative, like, I don't totally know where it came from. And I think before I even knew that it existed, I had already decided mentally, I'm not cut out for this. Like, I'm really poor and I'm like not having any success, whatever that means. And I feel like I'm just standing still. And so I started writing for other people because they sort of found this writing community. And then that sort of just took off. Like 3 years into that, I mean, it was not easy, but 3 years into that, I became a better writer. I was like, wow, I fell in love with it, like what it is and what it meant. And I learned how to do it. And after a while, I think I looped back around subconsciously because I was like, this isn't enough for me. Like it was really painful having all these songs that were my story and my narrative and feeling so passionate about them and loving them. And they meant so much to me, the same way that like I listened to Through on the train for 2 months. I would listen to my demos for other people to get me through my own shit too. And during quarantine, I really, obviously, like all of us, we had so much time to sort of sit with these like facts that we have about ourselves without like the world sort of projecting them onto you. You realize like, oh, I project that onto myself. And I was like, why don't I think that I am good enough for this? Why don't I think that I can do this? And why am I still waiting for someone to come and beg me to do it? Like, I need to beg myself to do it. And thank God for my best friend, Liz, who manages me. She was basically like, she gave me a little bit of tough love. She's like, I'm not going to tell you to do this because you need to tell yourself to do this, but you need to do this. And I think that just started this new chapter, which was like, okay, I'm going to stop beating myself up because it didn't happen the first time around because I wasn't ready. And I am like good enough. And, you know, it doesn't matter what my face looks like whatever narratives that I'm like, I can't possibly be an artist. Like my nose is asymmetrical or whatever. Yeah. So long story short, I think I was just scared. And then I was more bored than scared. So I was like, fuck it, let's just do it.
I love it.
You know? Yeah.
Let's just do it. Well, you know, and like they say, it's like there's a time and a place for things, and things happen for a reason, or they don't happen for a reason. If they don't, there's a reason.
Yeah. So true.
And so, well, I'm glad that you found yourself in this new space, in this new place, in this new time, and that you made the decisions that you did. You know, of all the songs that you've written, what easy question, right? What is your favorite? Now, I realize this is like asking a mother of many who is your favorite child, and that's not fair. But to get more unfair, not only what was the favorite song you've ever written, but when no one else is around and no one else is listening, what, with your fabulous voice, is your favorite song to sing, whether it's by you or someone else?
Okay, my favorite song I've ever written, I have this song called Sad Town USA that is probably one of my favorite songs that I've ever written. It's not out yet, but it's one of my favorites. And then there's a song called All Mine. That's a record for someone else. It's like a pop record that I wrote with my friends. And my dream is for Justin Bieber to cut it. That would be the dream. I just think I love it so much. I don't know when anyone will ever hear it, but those things are crazy. You know, you never know what's going to happen with that.
Right.
But those are my favorite as of now, like for sure.
Awesome.
And then my favorite song to sing. Oh, it's so interesting. Like, I don't listen to a ton of music, and I never have. I think it's probably part of the passive thing. Like, I was just sort of like mostly an observer until really recently. So I never really dived into like what I was super interested in as a kid. I mean, okay, I really love The Prayer by Andrea Bocelli. Do you know that song?
Yeah, I do.
So there's this one performance that he did with Catherine McPhee once.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just found it on YouTube at like late in the night. I just think it's so amazing. It's so special. I don't really wish I wrote it. I don't know how I would have written that. And I like have never listened to any other version other than that. But maybe that, or like, what's that musical? Like, here comes the baker with the bread, like that kind of shit, you know? The like Beauty and the Beast. Like, those are the things that I'll like maybe sing in the shower.
Yeah. Shower singing is the best. And so
it's the best. It's so random. It's so random. I don't know if that was a good answer.
I think it was a great answer.
Okay.
I think it's wonderful. You know, so when someone hears your verses, when someone hears your voice, what is it that you want them to know about you? If you could say, oh, and by the way, this about me, or this about your intention as an artist, what is something what do you want them to take away from you personally? What is that thing?
That every song I write, I've written it because I needed to hear it. And that's why I make them. That's why I was so okay for so long with not releasing them, because they served such a tangible purpose for me. And I would never put something out that like didn't actually help me or actually like move me forward in my own life or journey of trying to be nicer to myself and trying to figure out what kind of person I want to be and what kind of person I am. So I think that would be it. Like, if someone is listening to it and it makes them feel less alone, it also made me feel less alone, even just hearing myself sort of come to terms with like certain kind of behavior or like feelings about something. It's really my only outlet where I can be like totally honest and totally myself. So I think I would say that.
Well, I think that's a beautiful thing to say. So
thanks.
You know, well, and outside of just your fabulous voice, your fabulous writing, it's I think you've got a fabulous style. I so enjoy it. I feel like you are an old soul.
Oh my
myself.
gosh.
And
Thanks.
there's this, something that's so singularly you, and that you're not trying, you can tell by your songs and by your style that you're not trying to be anyone else. You're just trying to simply be you, and you're doing a beautiful job at it. So
oh my gosh, thank you.
Keep rocking it like
Thank
you do, Carol.
That's
and
really nice.
Thank you for helping all of us just become a bit more aware now. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Yay.